Well, hello. It's 4 o'clock on Tuesday, so welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. My name is Darren Milligan. I'm here in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian, and I'd like to welcome you all to our weekly hour of support and chat. If you need some help with using the Smithsonian Learning Lab or with accessing and using Smithsonian digital resources, you've come to the right place. This is an open session, so feel free to use the chat area to ask your questions, and we'll get started as soon as we see some questions. It doesn't look like right now anybody's joining us, but just in case my my stats aren't right here, this is the right place for office hours. Welcome. The way that you get your questions into me is just to the right of the screen, that way, all the way past the slides. There should be a chat area. You should see a welcome message there from Smithsonian Education. That's how you can get your questions into me if you have them. I can't see or hear you, unfortunately, but we'll try to work through things together. So if you're just joining us, welcome to weekly Smithsonian Office Hours. You're in the right place for our weekly Q&A. If you have questions about using the Smithsonian Learning Lab or finding and using any Smithsonian digital resource, this is the place to be. The way that you can get your questions into me is to use the chat area, which should be just to the right or sometimes just below the window on YouTube, where hopefully you're seeing this video. We don't have a set agenda or a script for this. It's just just a open session. So as soon as you have some questions, please feel free to pop those in the chat area. We're getting some reports in that there might be some weirdness with the audio, so trying to make some adjustments here on this end so that things aren't so confusing. So please let me know if that is improved. And in the interim, please get your questions in there on the right. It looks like we may still be having some audio issues, so I'm going to go ahead and restart this issue. So if you are joining us, please bear with me for just a moment, and we'll be back with you here in just a second. All right, we're trying to get things reset here. We had a few audio issues kicking the event off today. Hopefully, those have improved. If you are with us here on YouTube and the audio is weird or the audio is okay, if you could let me know in the chat area, that would be great. Thank you. So folks, if you'll bear with me for just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and grab some headphones to try to improve our audio situation. So I'll be right back with you. All right, I've just switched over to some headphones and hopefully the audio has improved. If not, we're gonna try another thing here, but just waiting. I've got one of my colleagues here running some tech support for me, and hopefully this has improved the audio. So just a moment. All right, I think we are resolved the issue. Thank you, Ashley, for your amazing assistance with that. Thank you so much for jumping in and helping out this week. Much appreciated. My name is Darren Milligan. If you've just joined us, welcome to Office Hours. I'm here in Washington at the Smithsonian, and this is our weekly hour to offer support in using Smithsonian digital resources, including the Smithsonian Learning Lab, or to answer any questions you might have about the Smithsonian or online museum resources. The way that this works is there should be a chat area just that way, to the right of the screen where you see me and you see the screen there. That's how you get your questions in. So go ahead and type your questions into that space. We don't have a script. We don't have a specific program for this hour. It's really just an open time to have an open door and answer any questions you might have. So I'm going to go silent here for just a minute, and please feel free to put your questions in as soon as you have them. If you happen to just be joining us, welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. We're a little quiet right now, just waiting for some questions to come in. We don't have a we don't have a program during this hour. It's really just an open time to answer questions you might have. So welcome. Please feel free to ask your questions. You can put them in the chat area just to the right of the screen. Might be just below your screen if you're on YouTube. And you'll see a couple of welcome messages there from the Smithsonian Education account. But when you have a question and you are ready to go, please feel free to post that. Any question is a good question. We can give you a tour of the Learning Lab and talk about some features. We can help you work on a collection you might be working on, or just answer any general questions you might have about the Smithsonian, its resources, and how you can get access to them. So I will wait for some questions to come in. So thanks for joining us. Hi, Dale. Thanks for joining us. I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be back from the holidays, and all's going well with the Learning Lab. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Dale, that would be great. Hope you're doing well too. Happy New Year. If you're just joining us, welcome to our weekly Smithsonian Office Hours. My name is Darren Milligan. I'm the Senior Digital Strategist at the Smithsonian Learning Lab. And this is our open session, our weekly open session to answer any questions you might have about what's possible and on the Learning Lab, or if you're looking for a specific collection of resources or an individual resource to use in your classroom or on your project. That's what we're here for. So please feel free to put your questions in. You can see a few comments. Hopefully you'll see them to the right or maybe just below your screen on YouTube. That's how you get your questions into us. I can't see or hear you, but hopefully you can hear me and see me, and you can type in your questions, and we'll get to them as they come in. Thanks for joining us, and when you're ready, please feel free to paste your questions in the box. Thanks. Looks like a few new people may have joined us here in the last couple minutes. Welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. My name is Darren. I'm here in Washington at the Smithsonian. If you have any questions, this is the place to be. This is our weekly open hour where a member of the Learning Lab team is available to answer any questions you may have. It's really just an open session to answer any question you might have. I'm happy to give you a tour of the Learning Lab or help you find a certain resource or collection that you might be working on or looking for. So I just kind of sit here quietly and wait for questions to come in. So the way that you get your questions in is pasting them or typing them into the chat area, which you should see kind of to the right of the screen, might be right below your screen, depending on how you're set up there on YouTube. But that's how you get your questions in, and I will be here to answer them for another about 45 minutes until 5 o'clock. Oh, Dale, thanks for the question. How did Learning Lab start? Well, we launched the Learning Lab in 2016, so we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary this summer. It really started with a research question that we asked about how could we better understand teaching and teachers, and how could the Smithsonian through using technology meet them and their needs. And so we really started that way with a research question and began working with a lot of teachers, hundreds of teachers from across the country to better understand the realities of how teachers access and build educational material, especially digital learning opportunities for their students. And once we began to pick that apart and think about that, then we started building out the tools and the platform for the lab. And we've continued doing that. So, since the last 3.5 years, we've continued to work with teachers and their students and librarians and curriculum specialists to continue to understand how they access and use digital learning materials. And so the platform, the homepage, the tools have all continued to continue to evolve to get closer, hopefully, in line with the needs of teachers and students and everybody else out there in the K-12 ecosystem. So thanks for the question, Dale. Looks like we've had a couple new people jump on. If you've got questions, you're in the right place. Welcome to Office Hours. This is our weekly 1-hour open door session to answer any kind of questions you might have about the Smithsonian Learning Lab, about Smithsonian resources, Smithsonian museums. Any question is a good question. You can see Dale's asked a couple questions over there to the right of the screen. That's where you get your questions into me. So you can type those questions in there, and we'll get started. So. Well, hello and welcome. It looks like we may have a couple of new people jumped on. My name's Darren. I'm here at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And you are at Smithsonian Office Hours. This is our 1-hour open door or Tuesday to answer any questions you might have about using the Learning Lab or finding and using Smithsonian digital resources for your teaching or for your learning. The way that you do that, you can see on the slide there. You should hopefully see a chat area just to the right of the screen on YouTube. And that's how you can type in your questions and get those inquiries into me. So I can't hear you or see you, but I can read your questions and we can hopefully engage in a conversation and learn a few things together. So that's how you do it. So I just kind of sit here quietly and wait for your questions to come in. So please feel free to insert your question whenever you're ready. Welcome. Hi there. It looks like we have a question here from Brody. Thanks for your question. Um, I'm going to pop that up on the screen here too. Brody's asking if the National Gallery of Art consulted with the Learning Lab on their MOOC teaching critical thinking through art in the development of the course. Could you describe the collaboration? They didn't collaborate directly with the Smithsonian Learning Lab. I believe that they did collaborate with our media production folks in a group called Smithsonian Enterprises, because I think, and I'm not sure of the exact the exact specifics on this, Brody. I believe that they hosted that MOOC, or they are hosting that course on our online learning platform, which is not the Learning Lab, on a different space. I'm not sure if Smithsonian educators were involved in collaborating the content. It's very possible that perhaps some of the educators at some of our art museums may have been part of that, but they didn't collaborate directly with the Learning Lab specifically. Although they have used it in in parts of that course, and they're building out Learning Lab collections. I think they've published a few. The National Gallery Education Department has published a few, and they're working on other collections that bring together material from the National Gallery and the Smithsonian along the lines of what was involved in the course. So hopefully I answered your question. Can I ask back, Bertie, what you're interested, if you took the course, or are you thinking about building a similar course, or? Hey, Dale asked a question, if I think that Learning Lab has helped a lot of people. I hope so. That was our intention. We've had about 1.2 million people have used the Learning Lab over the last 3 years, which is exciting. That's a lot of people, but there's a lot more out there, and so we're working on a plan right now do some more marketing and some more outreach to some teacher networks so that we can ensure that more people can find and use all the Smithsonian digital resources that are made available. Um, Brody, thank you. I'm glad you're still stuck around and heard the answer. If I can give you some more information, definitely please feel free to reach out. Um, or if you have a specific question or something you want to follow up on, you can always email us at learninglab@si.edu is our email address. Those messages come right to me, so I can definitely follow up or route you to the right person if you have a specific question. Looks like we may have had a few new people jump on. Welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. My name is Darren. I'm here at the Smithsonian in Washington, and you are at our weekly open hour to ask questions, and we're here to kind of help out any way we can in terms of using the Smithsonian Learning Lab or finding and using any of the digital resources from the Smithsonian. We've got about 4.5 million digitized objects now available. It's a lot of things to sort through, so we can help you do that too. If you're looking for something specific, we can help you find the thing you might be looking for. So the way that you do that is to type your questions. You can see some comments there from Brody and Dale and Joan over on the right-hand side of your screen, that way. And you can type your questions into me, and we'll answer them as they come through. So welcome. Feel free to put in your questions at any time. We're here for about another half hour till about 5 o'clock Eastern time in the U.S. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Dale asked a question: can anybody use the Learning Lab to help create a collection? They sure can. Yeah, I mean, Dale, the Learning Lab is free and open to anyone. We designed it working primarily with K through 12 teachers, but we're finding more and more that students and librarians and parents and just people who are interested in the kinds of things the Smithsonian has are using it to create all kinds of interesting collections. We've had more than 30,000 Learning Lab collections made since our launch in 2016. So definitely lots of different kinds of people making lots of different kinds of collections. And so it's definitely free and open to anyone. So thanks for your question, Dale. All right, I will sit back and wait for some more questions to come in. Please feel free to use that chat area over to the right of your screen to get your questions in. Thanks. Hi there. If you've just joined us, you're in the right place for office hours. We're just quietly waiting for questions to come in. So if you've got questions, you're in the right place. Use the chat area just to the right, or perhaps just below your screen, to get your questions into me, and we'll dive into the Learning Lab when you have a question. I'll stand by till then. Thanks. Looks like we've got a couple questions coming in. Hi, Mary and Dale. Thanks again. So, Dale, quickly, we launched in 2016, so the Learning Lab's about 3 years old. Um, and Mary, welcome to Office Hours. Mary is a high school art teacher in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pennsylvania, actually, Mary. I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania, and lived in Pittsburgh for a couple of years before moving to Washington, D.C. So welcome to Office Hours. Please feel free to let me know how I can help out. Anyone else who maybe has just joined us, welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. This is our weekly open door to welcome you and to work through any questions or challenges you might have in using and finding Smithsonian digital resources. So you'll see some people introducing themselves, Brody and Dale. And Mary over there in the chat area, it's sort of over this way to the right of the screen. It might be just below the screen, depending on how you're viewing this on YouTube. But hopefully you see that chat area, and that is how you get your questions into us here in DC. So please let us know how you can help. We can take you on a tour of the lab, or we can dive in to help find a specific resource or collection that might help you in your classroom. So Mary, if you have a question, please let me know. Thanks for saying hello. And anyone else who is on also too, please feel free to let me know how I can help out. In the interim, I'll be quiet here for a minute, but just let me know when you're ready. If you may have just joined us, it looks like we have a couple new people just jumped onto the stream. Welcome to Smithsonian Office Hours. You're in the right place. If you've got a question on how to use the Smithsonian Learning Lab, or if you've got a specific question about a digital museum resource you might be trying to find or use in your classroom or in your studies. All questions are good questions, so welcome. My name's Darren. I'm here in Washington. Smithsonian question that you might have. You can see there's a little chat area just to the right of the screen, and that's how you get your questions into me. So please feel free to let me know how I can help. We're here for about another 20 minutes. If you're looking for Smithsonian Office Hours, you're in the right place. Sorry, I was a little quiet there for a minute. If you have questions about, sorry about that, had a weird audio thing going on, but hopefully everything is good. Here's our place for office hours. This is our weekly open session. We don't have a specific talk that we do or tour that we give, but we can certainly do both of those if you have those specific questions. We're here for about 20 more minutes on our weekly Tuesday event. So please feel free to let me know how I can help out by using the chat area that is just to the right or sometimes just below your screen on YouTube, and we'll answer questions as they come in. Thanks. I just got an email from an Edson in Concordia. Edson, if you can hear me, it looks like you might be having some trouble with the chat. You do have to be logged into YouTube to be able to use it. So if that is what is causing your issues, try maybe logging in. If not, please feel free to email me. I did get your email. I'm happy to answer any questions you have either in the next 15 minutes during our open session, or if not, if you've got questions that we can't get to them in this session, I'll follow up. Uh, I'll follow up in tomorrow to answer your question. Sorry that you're having some difficulty, but definitely please feel free to email me. If anyone else is having similar trouble, you can always send the team here at the Smithsonian an email. Our email address is learninglab@si.edu. You can see that there at the bottom of the window. That email comes right into the Learning Lab team, and we try to get back to you right away if we can, during regular business hours, Monday through Friday. So if you've got questions, definitely don't feel like you need to submit them now. You can always send us an email, and we're more than happy to follow up if you've got specific questions. It looks like, well, let's see, Edson, maybe I did get a question from you here. Let's see. Oh, Edson, I did get your message into the Learning Lab, and I'll follow up. I'll follow up on your question later on. I won't address it here, but we'll connect with you and see if we can find a connection. So thanks for that email. Mary, got your question. Sorry if you were having trouble there. So at last, each year in the spring, I take a stand focus on it with 6 art classes relative to the topic. I'm not sure if I missed an earlier question or earlier comment there, Mary. This year I would like to approach the concept of the right to vote. Pretty cool. Mary, I'm guessing that there's quite a few resources available. What types of things do you usually expose your students to in the art classes to do that focus? I'm gonna pop over while we're waiting for Mary and just do a quick search here for right to vote. See what we're getting. Looks like lots of images from probably an exhibition. We probably can narrow things down here if we're looking for artwork. Portrait gallery, African art, Cooper Hewitt. Let's update our search result here and see what we get. We certainly got some important portraits here of people involved in the fight for the right to vote. Oftentimes, let's see, voter rights. Let's try that. See if we get slightly different things. Voting amendments. Yeah. Doesn't work if you don't spell it right, Mary. Sorry about that. We certainly are going to have a lot of portraits if there are specific things that you might be looking for. Resource for quote. Okay, just following up on Mary's other comments here. So I see, for instance, I'm considering having students respond to quotes. It's a good idea. They're painting students, 2D students, and advanced art students. It sounds like an awesome class, Mary. Quotes, huh? So it might be In terms of finding things in the Smithsonian Learning Lab, if you're looking for text, some of the best sources might be in blog posts or Smithsonian Magazine articles. Um, so if you, I'm going to clear out some of these filters here. Maybe just search for voting. And if I come in here, I'm going to do a search on the left here for text. The Learning Lab has all the blog posts from all the magazines, excuse me, from all the museums, as well as all the articles from Smithsonian Magazine. And so that's probably your best source for be from famous people involved in um, voter rights throughout the last several centuries. Um, I'd like to create mock. Just catching up with the rest of your comments here. I'd like to create mock mailboxes, and then with the help of the Smithsonian to have letters from suffragettes. Well, that's an interesting approach. We certainly have a lot of information about the fight um, uh, for votes for women, especially in this anniversary year. There's a lot of information available. So definitely can encourage you to continue searching to see the things that you might be able to find. Typically, it's best if you find things that you're interested in and want to connect with someone at the Smithsonian to see if you can create a partnership. To find, if you're looking at the Smithsonian Learning Lab and you find something from the National Portrait Gallery or from the National Museum of American History, the best approach is usually to contact the museum directly. You can certainly send us a message at our email address, and we'll try to route that for you. But if you're finding some things from a specific museum and you want to learn more about them or want to try to connect with some of the educators that work at the museum, it's usually best just to send an email directly to the museum. The best way to do that really is just to Google the name of the museum and the word contact, and you'll find all the museums on their individual websites have contact forms or email addresses or phone numbers that you can reach out to people at the museum directly, and that way you can get in contact with them if you're looking for that kind of connection. Some of the museums Skype with classrooms or do other ways of connecting that way. So that might be a good way to find that kind of connection, Mary. If you're just joining us, we're here in the last few minutes of our weekly office hours. We'll be here about 10 more minutes, but plenty of time to answer some more questions. My name's Darren. I'm here at the Smithsonian in Washington, and we're here to answer any kind of questions you might have about finding specific resources or using one of the tools or features of the Smithsonian Learning Lab, which is our gateway to more than 4 million digital resources from across the Smithsonian's museums, as well as tools for pulling those into your own personal collections to use either with your students or to use for your own research and investigation. Um, you can see hopefully to the right or just below your screen um, is a place to ask your questions. You can see some questions and comments coming in there from Mary and Dale. That's how you can get your questions into me. So please feel free to get your questions in here in the last few minutes, and we'll wrap up around 5 o'clock Eastern time in about 10 minutes. Hey Dale, I see your question there. What's the takeaway from the Learning Lab? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by takeaway. Can you give me some more details? Can you explain that a little bit further? Great, Mary. Yeah, and like I said, I definitely explore those blog posts and those Smithsonian Magazine articles. I'm sure there's a lot of articles that have come out in the last few years from the National Museum of American History, the Portrait Gallery, and Smithsonian Magazine on the suffragettes and on the fight for equal voting rights in the U.S. So I imagine you'll find some great quotes in there from historical figures, as well as great imagery and video content too that could help support your projects in those classes. So good luck with those. Always, of course, too, let us know if we can continue to support you. Like I said earlier, our email address is learninglab@si.edu, or you can click on the contact on the Learning Lab anywhere and send us a message, and we can continue to help route your questions or help you find some things you might be looking for. Okay, Dale, what can people expect from the Learning Lab? Well, it's access to a lot of content. There's about 6,000 user-created collections, and so those are groupings of those resources that people have published and shared. So you can search for those and copy them and edit them and use them how you might. But then you can also find about 4.5 million resources from the Smithsonian. So those are digitized objects from the museum. So the things you see in the museum, but photographs and information about them, but also videos and articles and books, blog posts, magazine articles, sound clips, interviews, all kinds of different content. And that's growing every day. The Smithsonian continues to digitize its collection of 154 million objects. And so literally every time you come back to the Learning Lab, there's more things to discover. So it's a great place to explore all the things in our national collections spanning history, culture, science. Thanks for joining us today, Dale. Thanks for your questions. Hi, Mary. Thanks for your follow-up question there. Let's see if we can find that contact information for you real quick. Museum of the American Indian contact. There we go. Mary, I'm going to go ahead and paste this URL into the comment area here so you can hopefully just click on that or copy and paste it. There's emails as well as some phone numbers there for you to reach out and contact them. So hopefully you can connect with them directly. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. We are at the end of our hour. Join us next week, and always check out the events page on the Smithsonian Learning Lab, where we have a full schedule of office hours for the next month or so, as well as other online webinars and opportunities that are available. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.